Hey, how's it going, Tanya?
Good. How are you doing, Peter?
I am good, thank you.
So today we are talking with Academy Award winning director Peter Ramsey. Also, one of the stories in Faceplant, a new docu-series from millionstories.com. So, Peter, does it ever get old to be introduced as Academy Award winning director?
No, not really, but I always kind of look around to see who they're talking about. That.
So in this docu-series, Faceplant, it's personal stories about people who have learned from their failures. So what exactly was your failure that you wanted to talk about in Faceplant?
Yeah, I wanted to talk about the movie Rise of the Guardians, which was the first movie, feature animation movie that I directed. It was a pretty big movie, and everybody involved had really high hopes going in, the studio and all the everybody, the test audiences loved it. Everybody thought it was going to be a gigantic hit, and it opened and it wasn't, for a variety of reasons. It actually did really well when it came out later on home video, and just like, number one on Amazon, and people just like, you know now it's got a huge fan base. But at the time when it came out, it was like it kind of didn't do that well. So it was such a shock, for I think, for everybody who worked on it. And for me, it was like, making that movie was like, it took 3 years, and it consumes your whole life. And it was
Yeah.
sort of, it was like a mountain I'd been climbing for like decades to get to. And so the experience of it not coming out the way the experience of the movie not opening the way I wanted it to, I'll say, because I'm
Hmm.
still very proud of it. Uh, uh, it was such a big shock in my life, and it made me have to, like, kind of check myself about so many things, that I thought it was a good thing to talk about. It was a good thing to sort of, be able to share with people that something like that can happen in your career, but you can survive it, and you can come out the other side, and it doesn't mean that you're less as a person because one thing didn't work out.
Yeah, I mean, when you talk about that, so when I was watching your episode,
Hmm.
inside I'm thinking, but wait a minute, like I really liked that movie. My
Hmm.
kids really liked Rise of the Guardians. I'm like,
Yeah.
who is hating on Santa Claus and the Tooth Fairy? I mean, like, what is wrong with people?
The weird thing is, I don't even think it was a case of people hating on it. It was more a thing of, when you have a movie like that, uh, there's so many things that have to go right for a movie
Hmm.
to be a big success. You have to release it at the right time of the year. You have to release it at a time when there's not too much competition. You have to release it. There's just a ton of different things.
Right.
And there were just a lot of things that went wrong when we opened. There was like a hurricane on the East Coast, Hurricane Sandy on the East Coast. There was like a James Bond and a Twilight movie in the theaters at the same time that had opened like a week before us. Our commercials made, our advertising kind of made the movie seem like something that it wasn't. And we all felt like, if you tell people, because the people in the preview audiences loved it, and
Right.
it was testing like higher than all these other movies at DreamWorks. And we were like, well, if you just like tell the people about that movie, then maybe we'll, do a little better. But there were all these factors that just stacked up on top of each other. And it was really more of a thing of, I would run into people like you who would go, I didn't know what kind of movie that was going to be, and I saw it, and I
Right.
really loved it.
Yeah.
And that would happen over and over again. So it was really an issue of people not being aware of the movie enough to go, spend however many dollars it costs to, see a movie these days for your whole family. You have to have somebody telling you,
Oh,
hey,
yeah.
this is a great movie, and it's like this, and you should really go see it. And if you don't get that, then so
No, that's true. I totally get. I mean, I have 5 kids, so when we go to the
yeah,
movies, we're
right.
dropping some some money, so it better be good.
I know, exactly. So it was, yeah, it was just a very weird bunch of circumstances that came together, which made it even more confusing because it was like, but I talked to people who love
Yeah.
the movie, I'd like, what happened? And it was just this crazy, confusing thing. And you're like, what did I do with the last 3 years of my life? What happened?
Yeah, and I'm sure that adds to it because making an animated film is not a short process
Oh
at
no,
all.
yeah, no, it takes over your life for multiple years. So coming out on the other end, and you're going like, wait a minute, it's like nothing happened. What happened? It's just crazy. You
So
think you're
how do you bounce back from that? Like if you, I was reading your story and or
yeah,
listening to your story, and so, at some point you said that you were writing storyboards or for commercials, and then somebody, at DreamWorks gave you your chance, and then so now you have directed this movie that is supposedly a flop in some circumstances, and so then how do you move on to get
yeah.
that shot again?
Well, actually, the way that my career went, when I first started out, way back when, I was doing storyboards for commercials, and storyboards are just little drawings to help the director show how he wants to shoot something. So it's
Hmm.
figuring out how you're going to tell the movie. After that, I worked on a lot of movies. So
Okay.
I storyboarded on a ton of movies like, Boys in the Hood, Independence Day,
Yeah.
Minority Report, Fight Club, just tons of movies. And I had seen the process of making a movie multiple times. And some of those were successes and some of them were failures. But people would like, one big thing you learn in the movie business is that if something goes wrong, whether that's while you're making a movie or after a movie comes out, you like pick yourself up, dust yourself off, and you can move on, and it doesn't necessarily mean the end of the world,
Yeah.
when something doesn't go right. That's something you learn in the movie biz kind of over and over and over again if you're in it long enough.
Yeah.
So when it happened, when it did happen, I was able to kind of draw on that and kind of go, well, I've seen other things not go the way people thought they would, and it was okay. Of course, I'm sitting there worried still because, okay, I got to make one and man, it didn't go as good. And is this going to be a problem going forward? And uh, luckily for me, I think, you know, uh, the reviews that the movie got were mostly good. We got, and some of them were great.
Mhm.
So it really wasn't a case that you're terrible, you're an idiot, you stink, you don't know what you're doing, the movie was just bad. It wasn't, I knew it wasn't a case of that. I knew there were all these other factors, just as if we had become the biggest movie of all time, I wouldn't have been able to take all the credit for that either, because there are
Right.
always other factors. So I think drawing on all my experience of what I had seen with other people go through, I was kind of able to tell myself, it's not all over. You don't have to give up all hope. You did the
Right.
best you could. You know, there are a lot of people who really love the movie, and I still hear from people to this day how much they love it. So that helped. That helped me. It helped me feel like I wasn't going crazy.
Yes.
I
And
could I could accept that there were other factors involved.
I love too how on your Twitter bio, I mean, it doesn't even mention that you've won an Academy Award. It
Yeah,
says
right.
director, Rise
Uh-huh.
of the Guardians,
Uh-huh.
and Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. So it seems like you are equally as proud of both these films. And then you have Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse that's
Yeah.
been this amazing success.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, yeah, that's the thing. Guardians. It's a funny thing because you know, I would get letters. I've gotten letters from people about that movie who say it helped them through a difficult time in their life. People who had cancer and said, "Thank you, your movie really helped me get through some hardest moments in my life." People who, I mean, this sounds crazy. More than one person, a few people have written and said, "My kid is autistic and he has not laughed in 2 years, and he saw your movie and it made him laugh and cry." And you people tell you things like that and you're like, well, it's it's like a bigger thing than just, just me, or, my ego, or like it's there's something that when there's something that you do that touches people on a level like that, you're like, well, that's all that anybody can ask out of doing something creative or artistic. That's what you do it for in the first place. So it's like, what's a failure and what's success? It depends on who you ask.
Yeah, I think that's a great outlook and a great message for these audiences now
Mm.
that can watch your story and relate to it in some way.
Mm.
Um, so I have to ask, are you involved with Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse too?
Hmm, maybe. I've I can't say too much, but I've been telling people, that the studio's not too far from my house, so I hide in the bushes, and I like, keep an eye on what's going on. So
Yeah, yeah. That's good. I won't get you in trouble. So I appreciate it. I really appreciate your time, and I'm so excited for everybody to watch Faceplant on millionstories.com. So thank you for being willing to share about mistakes and being able to bounce back from that.
it's my pleasure. Thank you very much.